that right. Jonathan Quick was back in goal today. I can't even describe how exciting it was to see him back in net and making saves. And even before the game started, when he just came back into the lineup and led the Kings out for warm-ups, it was huge to have him back. And not to discredit anything that Budaj has done. He, I believe, still leads the league in shutouts. He gave us a chance in pretty much every game he played. I mean, yeah, there are a couple of blowout games, 5-0 games that, less than stellar goaltending. But it's more the fact that the Kings have, absolutely zero offense for a very, very long time that really has led to the disappointing place in the standing that the Kings are now. But with Quick back, he obviously wasn't going to get the goals for them, but there was something about the morale and the energy that the players came out with to start the first period that was distinctively different. And when Quick made his first save about 4 minutes in, the crowd goes wild. The team's just really feeling this electric energy in the air of having Jonathan back in net. So I'm just so happy, guys. And everybody else was too. Everyone in the stadium, and even the Ducks players, you could tell, were really feeling the difference. And the Ducks have always been a heavy-hitting kind of team. And, getting the Kings and Ducks together, you're going to get a lot of skirmishes, I suppose you could say. And that definitely happened. So we started off about 5 minutes in with a power play, which then led me to diminish all of the high hopes I had for the game because Kings, bless their hearts, still can't perform effectively on the power play to save their lives. And yeah, Quick coming back isn't going to be able to change that because he has nothing to do with it. So we had a pretty lackluster power play, but still really good in other areas on the ice 5-on-5. They were making crisper passes. There was net front presence, something I have been begging for 4 months now. And that is going to come to fruition later, you'll see. So we get a power play, and then we have to go on the penalty kill, and you're reminded again that the Kings' defense is very, very good. There's a reason that our penalty kill has killed the last 20 or so, and I think before that there was one little blip, and then they'd killed maybe 40 or so in a row. So our PK is definitely the strongest part of our game, and you could see that, and having Quickie back and making some of these spectacular saves. Now this one right here was not on the power play per se, but it's just evidence that our defensive first structure is really back intact for this game. And that was something the Kings desperately needed against a very heavy hitting and very stifling defense themselves in the Ducks. So the Kings definitely needed to be on their game for that part of it. Then there was an unfortunate neutral zone turnover by Tyler Toffoli. Don't know who he thought he was passing to, but it turned out to be Silfverberg, who then got the puck to Kessler, I believe. I dislike Kessler quite a bit. Anyway, then there was the deflection and first goal that Quick has let in. And God, we should really cut him some slack because he hasn't let in a goal in months, guys. Yeah. So we're down 1-0, maybe 3 minutes to go in the first period, and it's okay though because it's not looking like the Kings are gonna let that bother them. They kept playing pretty strong. Oh wait, except that Dwight King got a penalty immediately after the goal. Thanks, Dwight King. But the Ducks, I don't even think had shots to block, let alone shots on goal in that PK. Because the Kings were back to their very strong, solid defensive structure, and it was really good to see. So going into the second period, 1-0 really wasn't that big of a deal. Except that the Ducks have held the Kings scoreless in 11 periods in a row, I believe the stat is. Now, that's depressing, isn't it? And it didn't look like the second period was going to be the Kings' period to score anything either. Clearly because they then went to the penalty box. Again, Kempe, first NHL penalty there. Pretty early into the second period. And the Ducks were really taking the fight to the Kings. They started out shooting us pretty badly. They were out hitting us pretty badly, which doesn't usually happen to the Kings, but again, the Ducks being that big physical heavy team, it just looked like the game was getting away from the Kings a little bit. So then there was a first scuffle that led to, I believe, roughing minors. Maybe nothing big, but there was some definite, animosity that you were starting to see build up on the ice. A lot of extracurricular activities were going on. The Kings ended up with a power play, which again just made me want to, cry and gouge my eyes out a little bit. And then there was the second major fight. And I mean major because the goalies were the only players on the ice that did not get in on this. It just explodes, basically. McNabb and I want to say Kessler, but I'm not sure. I can't remember because there were just so many little extra things going on. Oh, no, Kessler was the one after that. Don't even get me started. So lots and lots of after-hours smashing. The Kings resulting power play was just as depressing as you'd expect it to be. And then comes the Kessler fight that I was thinking of. So Jeff Carter elbows him in the head, and I'm not going to say that was, unwarranted, because it wasn't, but it was Jeff Carter, and so he's not, the best at fighting, clearly. I don't think I've ever seen him in a fight. And yeah, there's a reason for that. Kessler gave him one punch and he was down. So then for the last 4 minutes of the second period, we were without basically the only guy on the team who's been scoring anything lately. So Jeff Carter, I love you. You're pretty. Keep your pretty face pretty and focus on things that you can actually do well for the team, and that is score. You can't do that if you're in the box for 5 minutes. So we're still down 1-0. The second period is really not what you wanted to see. We come back in the third and we have the first 6 shots on goal. And they're really, really coming back strong. And the Ducks are kind of figuring, we've kept them scoreless for 11 periods now. It can't be that hard to keep doing it, right? And they put their kind of foot on the brake there. And the Kings really put their foot right down there. And got their first goal back. Oh my God, guys. The Kings scored. Finally. And it was Tyler Toffoli. I haven't seen Cupcake scoring in a while, so that's always a beautiful thing to see. Assists to Jeff Carter and Tanner Pearson. That 70s line is back, guys. And if we could have more than one line scoring, that would be great. It's cool, so it's tied. It's 1-1, and things are looking, like I said, much stronger for the Kings. They are starting to hit back a little more fiercely. Jonathan Quick is doing his awesome thing at one end of the ice, really doing his best to keep pucks out of the net and keep it a 1-goal game. And there's like 10 minutes left, and there's, just enough time to kind of do something stupid, except we didn't. We actually did something really good, and Tyler Toffoli scores his second goal. A stunning display from Jeff Carter. He comes streaking down the ice. And Kessler is sprawled out in that defensive move that Doughty manages to do so incredibly well. He's sliding on the ice. And Carter just, tucks the puck underneath him, gets it to Tyler, and Tyler very clearly has a great shot, and they're right in past Bernier. We're up 2-1. Guys, we're up 2-1. We're actually winning a hockey game. People are scoring. Cupcake is back, and I've been worried about Cupcake for a while now since he's returned, but he has 2 goals. He's on deck for a hat trick. Things are really exciting. Oh my God, 13 seconds later, we scored again. It got really good. So this is net front presence, like I have been preaching for so long now. This is Kevin Gravel, who just got his first NHL goal last game. He had been teeing up a couple of goals, or a couple of shots at least, that could have been goals pretty early in the first period too. He did a really good job tonight. He's got a taste for it now. It's all looking really good. So he tees it up, and he has a great shot that Dustin Brown then is at the front of the net and redirects in. And that all starts from a good face-off win, which the Kings had also not been doing very good early in. So the third period, they just cleared a lot of the little extra things out of their game that they didn't need and really tightened things up, and it's a 3-1 game. And there's just enough time to, again, either screw it up or just keep hounding the Ducks, and that's what they did instead. They were so invigorated by actually having scored anything in a game, and it's the Ducks, and so there's all this extra stuff going on, and Jonathan Quick's back, and so there's just all the energy that they need is there on the ice. They got a final power play that they did nothing with, but with about 4 minutes left, they didn't really need to, per se. They just needed to kind of be able to hold on, because with a 2-goal lead and Jonathan Quick in net, he had been showing throughout the rest of the game that he really didn't have any dust on him. He was back in form. He was ready to go, which I was actually really worried about when they brought him back 2 or 3 weeks before they said they were going to. I was a little concerned that they were a little desperate and maybe bringing him back, and he was doing all these butterfly things and he was making lunges. I'm like, don't, please don't do anything too strenuous and then be out again. Because Jordan Nolan also came back today, which I know no one's really going to care about when you've got Quickie back, but he had an awkward knee-to-knee thing, probably like a borderline clean hit, and it just kind of hit him awkwardly, and so he was off again. First came back, and he's already off the bench for the last period. So we were really concerned that maybe that was going to happen to Jonathan, and it didn't. It wasn't at all. He was looking really solid. So for that couple of minutes on the power play there, they didn't have to do anything stellar. But seriously, at one point, I'd like them to actually try and do something on a power play. That would be awesome, but probably never going to happen. So then the Ducks pulled their goalie. Carter at this point is 1 goal away from Gordie Howe hat trick. So Kopitar, being the generous captain that he is, gives the pucks to Jeff, and 4-1 empty net goal. And yeah, the Ducks aren't coming back for that one with a minute and a half to go. Guys, who cares? Jonathan Quick is back. All is right with the world, and Chris Sutter was on the dance cam, and we actually scored goals, and everything was wonderful.